you are part of any sort of group that gets together, you'll certainly understand what I'm talking about. Now, it might be something like a book club, or people just get together to play cards. Maybe it's the same people that get together every morning just for a cup of coffee, or maybe a prayer group that meets once a week. It could be something as simple as you and some usual co-workers that take your break at the same time from work. Or maybe you're part of the parents who sit along the sidelines of your child's sporting event. No matter what the group is, anytime you get people that get together regularly together for conversation, there always exists the possibility that someone is going to say something that ticks off and bothers somebody else in the group. It happens all the time, you know? You're having coffee or breakfast, or you're with a group of people. It could be a dinner party or just a birthday celebration, or maybe you're just even going to the gym and seeing the same people regularly. And then sometime, somewhere, someone will say something that will drive you crazy. Now, sometimes it could be political, that somebody might wade into really contentious waters. Sometimes it'll be somebody simply doing their usual complaining about their work or their boss. Sometimes it's someone who just wants to vent about everything that is wrong with the world, with religion, with our culture, with our media. Sometimes it's a person that you think sounds a little bit like a broken record, that, you know, the temperature in the room is never right, you know, or, you know, what is it that's going to be on sale at the local grocery store? What medications am I taking? Or where can you go to get 1 cent cheaper for gasoline or whatever? And then there's the person who's constantly in struggle with something or someone in his or her life, and is grateful to have a safe place to share that concern and that worry and that struggle. But unfortunately for the others in the group, they choose to bring up that same concern over and over and over again. And then I have to say, and it's not too proudly, that there are times when I'm in situations like that where I would just like to look up to that person and look them in the eye and just say, why did you have to bring that up, okay? And that sounds pretty awful, doesn't it? It does. But my guess is that maybe many of you can relate, you know, because implicit in the question is the idea that I'm never the one that will bring up anything that others don't want to hear. And you know that nothing could be further from the truth. Of course, I say things that others will probably roll their eyes at from time to time. And of course, I say things that may irritate people or anger them or maybe bore them from time to time. And of course, I sometimes probably make others think, why did he have to bring that up? And it's funny how that works, if you think about it, because, like, my thoughts aren't trivial. My thoughts are important. They matter. And I hope that others would treat my words and thoughts and ideas and concerns as such. I just finished saying that. Now, doesn't that sound pretty ridiculous with everything else that I've just said? But most of us act that way from time to time because our problems are important and we wish that others would take note of them and maybe help us through them. But then, what about the problems of others? Well, then that's a different story. Many of us simply don't want to be bothered. Well, how about the problems of Bartimaeus today? How did the people view them? How did the people around them react to them? Well, it said, and many rebuked him. They told him to be silent. It's a direct quote from the Gospel of Mark today. A blind man approaches Jesus, and he wants help. So others, instead of treating him with compassion and kindness and understanding, what do they want? They simply want him to be quiet. It's as if they're telling him in a blunt way, all right, quit bothering us. Go away. Who do you think you are? Now, why do we do that? Why do we sometimes trivialize the concerns of others or just look past them entirely? Maybe it's because we don't like the package it comes in. And what I mean by this is maybe we don't like that person very much. Or maybe we don't like the way the message is being conveyed. Or maybe we don't like the means by which they are trying to be heard, or the words they use, or the level of their voice, or maybe the place they choose to express their concerns, or maybe it's the content of their complaint. And so instead of focusing on the fact that we have another person who is in need, or is hurting, or is pleading for just some kind of understanding and compassion, we get distracted by all the other stuff. And so we fail to remember that that person standing before us is our brother or sister. That person is loved by God. And that person is deserving of our attention and our concern and our love. And so we have to ask ourselves, are other people's concerns a problem? Are other people's complaints a nuisance? Are other people's issues only important if they're my issues too? Or does God expect something more from us? Maybe something more than what the crowd reacted today when they said, and many rebuked him and told him to be silent. Well, this week, in Coffee and the Word, Valerie shared with me some of the discussion they were having. They were discussing this gospel, and they went through this list that they were discussing. It was a list of cures for spiritual blindness. And I'd just like to share how we need sometimes to shift our attention to see more clearly what's right in front of us. By shifting our eyes from seeing through familiarity to seeing through wonder. By shifting our eyes from seeing through paranoia and self-protection to seeing through to amazing possibilities of change and nurture. By shifting our eyes from seeing through jealousy to seeing through admiration. And by shifting our eyes from seeing through bitterness to seeing through eyes purified and softened by grief. By shifting our eyes from seeing through fantasy and autoeroticism to seeing through appreciation and prayer. By shifting our eyes from seeing just through relevance to seeing through contemplation. By shifting our eyes from seeing through anger to seeing through forgiveness. And by shifting our eyes from seeing through longing and hunger to seeing with gratitude. May we take the steps to treat that spiritual blindness. And may each of us make sure that we are not the ones silencing the others. And may we come to understand that the concerns of others are important to God, and therefore they should be important to us too. And sometimes it's just as simple as that.